Well, hello, welcome back to the Big Polytunnel on UK Here We Grow. Well, today I wasn't really planning on doing anything today. I've had a pretty hectic couple of weeks where lots of things going on. I just fancied a day off today. However, it wasn't to be. The doorbell went and Mr. Postman arrived with these couple of live plants, and of course, being live, they've got to go in the ground. What are they? Well, a couple of weeks ago I was looking for and hunting around on the internet for a good deal on a grapevine, and I found them really expensive. All the main suppliers, I mean, you're into 20, 25, 30 pound for a vine for one. So I was about to give up on the idea of it, and I then stumbled across a little website called Gardens Number 4 for you. So it's gardensforyou.com, and on there they had a 2 vine combo, so that's a red and a white, for £9.95 plus VAT and delivery. The whole thing come to £13.90 for the pair, and there's me like that on the buy button. You know, we all like a bargain, so I bought them. Anyway, it wasn't until I'd already bought them and I thought, oh, it didn't say whether they were seedless or not. So I've done a little bit more research about these two, and it turns out they're not seedless, they are seeded. However, c'est la vie. So what are the varieties? I wrote them down here. So we've got a Boss Coupe Glory Blue, and the other one, that's the red, and then you've got Pinot Blanc White, which is going to be the white one. Anyway, I want to plant them in here. And I've got these two wires that run the full length of the polytunnel. There's one over there, and I've got this one through here. And last year I had all my hanging baskets hanging off of these, but I thought actually they're in situ, and having a couple of grapevines in here is going to do a couple of things for me really. It's going to give me some really well welcomed shade, so things don't get scorched. And the temperatures in here they get phenomenal in the midsummer when the sun's right overhead. You know, you're well over 40 degrees Celsius. So I decided that I might as well, if I'm going to have shade of any description, have some sort of shade that's edible or usable. So even if they're not really good eating ones, I might be able to make a little drop of vino out of them. So I want to plant them in line with these wires, and then over the next couple of years I shall train it up and then along the wire, and hopefully then we should get some nice grapes hanging off of here. Now, the other day, if you remember seeing in the chicken coop video where I assembled all of that, I had to dig out the base. Now, when I dug that out, I started discovering some pretty thick roots, and it turns out they were coming from a vine that we've got at home in the garden, which was about 5 or 6 feet away. And that started ringing some alarm bells for me, because the last thing I want to do is just put something in here that's going to just take over, and every time I start digging anywhere I'm going to come across these roots. So my plan is to force these force the roots to grow very, very deep and effectively go down and then out before, a bit like what you do with a fig. So I decided I would utilise some of this stuff. Now this is basically sort of 4-inch mains water supply piping. It's quite thick, extremely tough stuff, but you can cut it with just a straightforward wood saw. All sorts of places have them. You can get this anywhere pretty much, but the best place to find it is in a skip, believe it or not. But if you know a builder, he will have some of this. And what I'm going to do is dig a little hole out with my little thin trenching spade, and then I'm going to let that into the ground. I'm not going to go all the way down with it. I want to try and bury it so I've got about 3 or 4 inches of the pipe raised above the ground. Okay, because obviously I might well build these beds up over time, and I don't really once that's in, it's not going to be moved. I can't move it. So thinking ahead, I'm going to leave that a little bit proud of the soil surface. So the first thing I've got to do then is dig the hole, and you don't want to watch me do that because I think that's going to be hard going. So we'll come back in a minute. That's that in the ground. It wasn't too bad actually as it goes. My plan earlier on, if you remember in a previous video when I changed it all in here, put all this mulch down on the ground. it's done the trick, because that's really nice and moist down there, whereas before it was bone dry. So anyway, I've dug the pipe in. It's now down at the subsoil level, so which is about that deep, 18 inches I suppose. And you can tell it's a subsoil because the colour changes, it goes a lighter colour, and it's pretty much just clay. It's also permanently damp and wet down there. So that's fine, that's going to live quite happily in there. Now, in a previous video that Tony did quite some time ago, he showed you that he planted his vines on the outside of his polytunnel and brought them in. I haven't really got that option. I could do it, I could build a frame on the inside and a frame on the outside, screw the two together and then cut the plastic out and bring it in that way. However, I don't really want to cut the plastic. So I've opted to grow mine inside, but well worth a watch, that video. And Tony will put a link on the cards at the end where you see the little videos. I'm sure he'll put one up for you. But the key thing with vines is they like poor soil. So there's no compost going back in here. It's purely the soil that I got from the lower levels, which is in the wheelbarrow over here. That's basically what it's going to get planted in. And that's it then. It'll be left to its own devices. Obviously, I will need to put some sort of cane up to be able to tie this thing and train it up a cane. And then as soon as it gets to the top here, the cane can go because it'll be established. And then it's a case of training it along that wire. So the first thing I need to do now is get the pipe filled up to virtually the level I want. I did put a little bit of nutrients. I put some 6X chicken pellets in with the soil, just as a little bit extra, and a tiny smidgen of blood, fish and bone, because obviously that is it. It's not going to get any other nutrients. And incidentally, I will not be watering this vine either. I do really want to encourage it to hunt out the water for itself. So we're not far away there. So no water at all. It'll get everything it needs down the bottom. Where's it gone? There we go. So I've decided to put the black the black grape this side and the white one that way. No real particular reason for it. Just okay. So I'm going to pop this out of here. Before I do that, I'm going to also utilise a bit of the old mycorrhizal fungi for this. And this really works as long as it's in contact with the roots, and it enables any plant that this is applied to, the two work together. So if you've not been switched on to this stuff yet, just go and get yourself some. It's brilliant. All your roses, your fruit trees, especially fruit trees, you know, this stuff will really, really help those plants, and they just work together. So I'm going to turn that over, knock it out of the pot. It's quite damp, which is handy. I just want to basically sprinkle a little of this on the plant. I'm going to pop that in there like that. In fact, I just want to turn that slightly, because obviously I want it to go back and then up. That's naturally wanting to lean forward. And firm it down quite well in here as well, because if it's too loose in there, it'll dry out very, very quickly. So pack it down. That's it, done. So the last thing then is just put back the mulch. Obviously I can grow all my other plants now without any fear of those roots on that vine getting out of control. And what they do at 2 foot deep is their business. I'm not really fussed, but as long as they're not going to be up on this upper layer where I'm working. Well, that's it. So planting the grapevine up. Anyway, thanks for liking, subscribing, commenting, and we'll see you in the next one.